You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
Deep to left field. Going back Joyce. Looking up. See ya. 3,000. History.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble! This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof.
Looking, throwing in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the man. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
Yes! Welcome back to Sports and Sorts. My name is Shane Moore. I am one of your hosts.
And I'm the Bri Man. I'm the other host.
Yes, you are, and sounding good today on this 101st episode of Sports and Sorts. You can find this show on Twitter at Shane and Bri Man, or you can find us on Facebook where we are live right now at facebook.com/Shane and the Bri Man. You can also find our podcast wherever podcasts are played. In addition to all of that, you can go to our website, which all the podcasts are there from start to finish. You can go back, listen to episodes, call us out on live on air and say, hey, you guys were really dumb, in April of 2017. And we will say, you're probably right. But you can do that at www.sportsandsorts.libsyn, that's LIBSYN.com. And of course, you can always email us, shaneandthebryman@gmail.com. And you can send your questions, rants, or whatever else you want to throw at us there, or you can comment in the comment section below. So first things today, we're going to be talking a lot of MLB trade deadline. Obviously, lots of action happened between the Sox, the Yankees, the Brewers of all people, the Pirates, tons of action. But first, we're going to start off the show today. We're going to be giving Chris Carelli a call, who is a writer for SNY. And he covers the Yankees. So we want to find out his opinion on, how the Yankees, how he felt they did, if they got everything that he feels that they should have gotten, or if they should have done a little something more. So we're going to work on calling him right now. And we should have him online in just a few seconds. All right. Let's see. Why isn't it coming up there? Woo-hoo. All right. This is good stuff, right?
We're live.
We're live. It's good, and we're calling him. All right.
Let's see.
Is he there?
Technology. Hey, guys.
Hey,
Chris.
It's Chris Carelli from SNY, who covers the Yankees. So we had, we've been kind of talking about... We just introduced how we're going to talk about the MLB trade deadline today and everything like that. But we wanted to start off with the New York Yankees. And, no one else better to talk about this than you, who covers the Yankees. And we wanted to kind of get your idea on how you've, on the trades that they made, and also what you thought, like a grade level. I know you just recently came out with an article about all this too, which you can find if you go to SNY. If you follow him on Twitter, you can find him at Chris_Carelli, and you can find all his articles and everything there, and then it'll take you to his SNY page as well. So, Chris, what do you think? How did the Yankees do going during this trade deadline?
I think they did quite well. And thanks for having me on, guys. It's great to be back.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you on.
I think considering the market and where it stood from the beginning, I think we all had an idea that the Yankees really weren't major players for Machado, despite the fact that they, I guess, submitted an offer. So, after him, the market was a little bit barren, especially for starting pitching, which is something that they really needed. And I think Cashman was wise to look at it from that global perspective and then jump on the chance to add Zach Britton to strengthen what was already probably their strongest aspect of the club. Britton, besides adding depth to the bullpen, provided he continues on the upward stretch that he was going through with the Orioles before the trade, he could be a very important piece of the Yankees if, for example, Aroldis Chapman's knee continues to bark and he ends up having some time in the DL. Whether it's shifting Betances to closer or maybe Britton is given a shot. Boone's going to have options. I guess that's the point. He's not going to be wedged into a predicament where he's got to go to one guy and everything else kind of falls apart from there. Mm-hmm. And I do think there's some genuine concern with Chapman's knee. It's going to act up here and there. I mean, he's looked great the last couple of times out. It seems to be that, still for him, the more he pitches, the better he'll be. But, Britton, to me, just kind of makes the Yankees a lot more difficult to beat down the stretch. And then, of course, assuming they get past the division, get past the wild card or division round, depending on where they land, the postseason will be a heck of a lot easier with another, solid arm out of the bullpen. Then after Cashman figures out that Britton's the way to go to get, the top guy that he can, shifting gears to have who they had their eyes on, I guess, from the beginning as far as those middle of the rotation starters, made all the sense in the world as well. I think Happ was going through a rough stretch before the trade, had a decent outing before the Yankees actually acquired him. He looked pretty good the other day in his first start with the Yanks, but the upside for him is potentially number two if he pitches the way he was, before the All-Star break. Mm-hmm. The downside for him, if anything, is that he's just another middle of the rotation arm, but he's obviously better than what Sonny Gray was giving the Yankees for the first part of the year. Gray seems to be maybe turning things around a tad bit of late, but the fifth starter role was an up and down thing between Sessa and Herman and whoever else was going to be next in line, I guess you could say. So getting Happ just adds some depth and potentially gives them a quality 2 or 3 starter. Should Tanaka go backwards? Should Sabathia get hurt? I mean, each of these guys, and Luis Severino included, has question marks right now. Is Severino got a dead arm? Does Sabathia's knee hold up? The idea to get as much pitching depth as possible makes sense for a team that expects to be in the postseason. Then from Happ, the Yankees pulled those 2 moves basically simultaneously, where they sent Adam Warren to the Mariners and took Lance Lynn from the Twins. Again, I guess I wasn't enamored with the moves.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know that
move
more.
in general, the Lance Lynn move, seemed really weird to me. It seems like, are they going to go to a 6-man rotation to try and give everybody a little bit of rest? Because, Tanaka, it's worked with him a little bit. You also have CeCe, who could always use a little bit of extra rest just because of his age and obviously his knee that you're talking about. But, the Lance Lynn move, granted, he's been pitching better as of late, but it's not like it's been great. He still has been pitching to a 1.45 whip, which is not what you want, especially in a ballpark like New York.
Yeah, no, it's when my first reaction was one of, scratching the head and trying to figure it out. And I think you hit it that they weren't comfortable with who they would have had as a 6th man when and if they want to give everybody a break in the turn and provide that extra day. Tanaka can use it. We see how much better he is when he gets an extra day. Sabathia obviously can use even a full turnaround if possible at times. And they may want to start limiting some of Severino's workload now so that when September and October come along, he's back at, his full speed. Mm-hmm. I think that they figure that Warren was not a high-impact reliever for them at the moment. The Mariners had the money that they wanted for the international bonus pool slots. Mm-hmm. And that's become obviously very important to them as they maxed themselves completely out as to what they could gain. So Lynn just becomes a guy that, he's going to come out if somebody's faltering in the 3rd or 4th inning. He'll pick up some slack, eat some innings. You won't see him for a few more days after that. And then, they will most likely, otherwise I'm not sure of the point, most likely will, slot him in for a spot start here and there. Again, just to provide a little bit of breathing room for each of the guys over the next couple of months. Right. I guess one of my bigger problems with that move too was I'm not sure why the Yankees did not at least try to give Justice Sheffield 1 or 2 starts as this deadline was approaching.
That seems to be the big mystery, because I just don't understand. Being a lefty, he's at this – see, to me, Chris, I look at Justice Sheffield and I look at the results that he's getting in the minor leagues, and I'm at that point with him where I think you're kind of – where we were kind of at with like guys like Clint Frazier and like Miguel Andujar is like, okay, at what point – like what more do they have to prove on that level? It's time for to me it seems like Sheffield is ready for the next step. And I just I'm wondering what the hesitation is here to bring him up. It just seems to me like it would have been a really perfect timing. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, I completely agree. And I've been saying it for a few weeks now. I mean, I think that had they decided to try Sheffield in the, let's call it the Lance Lynn role for right now, about 3 weeks ago, give him some work out of the bullpen, possibly give him one of those spot starts in between to quell some of the tiredness that was growing among all of them at in the middle of July. You get to see one, if he is ready, right? I mean, you get a little bit of a glimpse of how his stuff is going to fare against major league hitters versus what he's doing against AAA guys. And if it didn't work, that's not a problem. You send him back, and then you make your Lance Lynn move. I guess to me, for a team that's so heavily invested in the young players where they are and compliment them for doing it, right, there's still some of that hesitancy with guys that look to be ready to go. And if you don't test them in the major leagues, you don't know what they're going to be able to give you. Right. Now, what's going to end up happening is you'll see one of these guys is going to go down. Lynn's going to take a spot, right? And then what's the potential of someone else getting hurt or someone else going into a tailspin? Now you're going to bring Sheffield up on August 20th, just for an example, or September 1st for an important game down the stretch, and it's going to be his first start in major leagues.
Yeah,
that makes no sense to me. I mean, I don't see him all the time. I know that these guys know more than we do, right? But at the same point, you would think that a test of him on the mound in July versus Luis Sessa, who we know is going to provide, would have been more important just to gauge what kind of moves they might need to make. Yeah. And that's just my opinion.
And this would have been the right month to do it, too, in August, because with the exception of this 4-game set up in Boston this weekend, the rest of the Yankee schedule in August is relatively soft. I mean, he wouldn't have been going up against the cream of the crop here. And chances are, too, where they would have slotted him into the rotation, he would have been going up against, some of these poor teams, 4th and 5th starters. It would have been on paper, it seems like it would have been a good matchup for him and a nice way to ease him into the rotation. But it is a head scratcher to me. I do have one other question, though.
Sure.
With Happ and Lynn, and because I know the Yankees, Cashman is very much a forward-thinking guy, too. And I know that both of these guys, Happ and Lynn, are both in contract years. But do you think that these acquisitions might also be maybe sort of litmus tests or proving grounds for these two guys, just to see if maybe they want to even consider bringing either of them back or offering them contracts in free agency? Because I think with Britton, we all know he's going to want to be a closer somewhere. So chances are he is not in the Yankees' future plans beyond this year. He's brought in for a pennant run to strengthen an already strong unit. But with Happ and Lynn, are these tryouts for them? Do you think maybe for potential future contracts? Do you think Cashman was thinking that far ahead with this?
He might have been. I mean, I can see it with Lynn maybe a little bit more so, or sorry, with Happ a little bit more so than Lynn, only because of the way they've got them slotted currently. Happ isn't a really young guy, but if CC Sabathia, I know he wants to come back next year, doesn't come back next year, I could see Happ taking that kind of a spot with the Yankees where it's a 1 or 2 year deal. And you try to get some innings out of him, and he's a middle to the end of the rotation type starter. It's conceivable that they move away from Sonny Gray at the end of the year. There are different, things that they could be looking at. They were intent on keeping Sheffield in the organization, so you've got to assume he's going to be at least given a pretty good opportunity next year to make that rotation, which may or may not leave much space for, one of these other veteran guys. But I guess if any of them, probably Hap. But, obviously, should someone go down and Lynn gets 8 starts down the stretch and looks, solid doing it, he's got a pretty good track record, really, before whatever happened to him in the first half, this year.
So now with all the moves that they've made, they've obviously kind of shored up a lot of stuff. They've deepened their rotation. They have deepened their bullpen. And I know one of the things that you really wanted them to get, when we had talked previously about a month ago or so, you said you really thought they were just really needed another arm out of the pen. They obviously got that. I mean, we'll see how Britton does. I don't think that Britton will really have a good run for probably the next 2 to 4 weeks or so. I think it's going to take him that time to really, shore up everything. He hasn't been pitching great since he came back, but it's kind of expected. With the injury that he had, and I feel like they kind of rushed him back a little bit. But with all of that, do you think that there's anything else that they should have gotten?
No, I don't think should have. I think that I thought they were 50-50 shot that they were going to pick up an outfielder, just to kind of tide them over for the next few weeks. I mean, the Judge injury, if it is as minor as it seems so far, it's still his wrist. And those injuries are just horrible for baseball hitters. I mean, for hitters, and power hitters in particular. It could take, besides the fact that it's a 3-week time off, and he's going to be a little bit rusty from missing the games and reps and so on. Dealing with any soreness that's lingering with the wrist is going to be a potential problem. Where I would have thought that maybe they add a veteran type guy, whether it's Cameron Maybin or Bautista or Granderson, somebody who's obviously not all that thrilling, but probably going to help a little bit more than Shane Robinson might, during a longer stretch. So I mean, the other thing is all those guys I just mentioned, besides Maybin, who did get traded, the other 2 guys and others will go on waivers, and it's quite possible the Yankees can swing a waiver deal over the next few weeks if they really need to, because of the maybe because Judge just isn't progressing as quickly as they need, or so on. But otherwise, no, I don't think that there's anything lacking. Right now that's such a huge problem for them. It's more just getting the expected performance out of the current roster.
Okay, well, so if that's the case, what would you give them as an overall grade this trade deadline?
So I don't know if it's been published yet. I submitted a piece with a bunch of grades. I basically graded out, the Britton trade, Hap, and I combined the Warren and Lynn deal as one, and I gave them, an A for Britton. I gave an A- for Hap. I gave a B for the combination of the Warren and Lynn thing, because and most of the downgrade of that to me was just the whole Sheffield thing that I believe was a mistake. But overall, I gave them an A-. I mean, not to mention they added close to $4 million in international bonus pool money, which they are spreading widely over a large blanket of top, international prospects. So it's not just for one guy; it's for a slew of guys. And the fact that Cashman was able to get all these players that are going to immediately impact and help this club more so than anybody else they had in the organization, besides maybe Sheffield, right? They didn't trade one single guy that was going to be an important player for them in the next couple of years. They were able to take care of a lot of the excess 40-man roster pieces that they were going to have to deal with in the wintertime in virtually all these deals.
All right. Yeah. So, because I really feel like the biggest thing that they did, because Britton is a nice piece. He's obviously one of the best relievers in baseball when he's healthy. I really feel like the one that's going to be the undecided, like it's going to be guaranteed the best overall help going down the stretch is the J.A. Happ move, and I just feel like because of who he is, how he's pitched over the last few years, and being a lefty in the Yankee Stadium, and he's not going to have to face those 1, 2, and 3 starters anymore. He's going to be facing more of the 4 and 5s, which is going to it's like not a guaranteed win, but if there was ever a chance for a guaranteed win, when you have a a number 2 or 3 starter going up against 4 and 5s, it should give you an obvious benefit. So I think that was my biggest one. So, but we're not far off. Like I really feel like the J.A. Happ was probably an A for me, and the Britton was an A- for me, just because it's more of gluttony when you add Britton to that already stacked bullpen. And and moving Warren, I understand why they did, because he's not really all that needed now. I mean, what are they going to do in that bullpen? Where are they going to fit him? Is he just going to come out when the Sonny Gray goes out in the second inning? He's going to come out for the third and fourth. Like, I don't know. There's not really much room for them there. But the other big deal is, I know you don't really follow them 100% like you do the Yankees, is the Red Sox. They obviously struggled acquiring a bullpen arm, which is something that they really need. But they did get Eovaldi, who we are very familiar with because he pitched with the Yankees. Do you think that that's going to be a big move? And do you think that the Yankees have done what they need to be able to try and catch the Red Sox? Or do you think it's just like completely playing for the wild card now?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's completely playing for the wild card. They have, I think, 10 games left against the Red Sox, and those are going to obviously matter immensely down the stretch.
Yeah.
What the Yankees need to do is, the Yankees are going to need to beat up on these teams like the Royals and the Orioles as the Red Sox are facing the Phillies, and as the Red Sox are facing some of the better teams. Their schedules are flip-flopped now. They were a little bit different from the first half of the season, where the Red Sox had a softer schedule and the Yankees had a harder schedule. So now that those games that are against these inferior teams, the Yankees are going to have to win those series, maybe even sweep some of them, right? Because otherwise, getting they're 3 back in the loss column, but they're 5 back in full. It's not going to be easy. The Red Sox aren't going to necessarily slow down, though now they're dealing with a couple injuries of their own. They've got Devers is on the DL, Sale just went on the DL. So the potential for the Yankees to make a run is certainly there. I don't want to pinpoint them as just they're in the wild card. They're at their high water mark for the season right now. Mm-hmm. They're on pace to win over 100 games. And the Red Sox could just as easy have a 500 stretch of 20 games where the Yankees can sneak back into it. And again, those games against them directly, the 4 coming up and what's left after that, they need to win 7 out of 10 of those games in order to make a big difference.
Yeah, this is just going to be a very interesting stretch down run, going down the stretch, because them getting Eovaldi, I think, is a big deal. He has been a very solid pitcher when he's healthy. I mean, his numbers are very good when he's healthy. And the Lance Lynn deal, I feel I just don't understand it, because I'm a big whip guy, and when his career whip has always been in the 1.3s, and when he is going to come to the AL East now, I can't imagine it's going to be below 1.45, and that's a lot of hits and walks, and he's been walking a ton of batters, which he's always been able to do, but he's kind of got that power arm, so he's been able to get out of it. But I just think it's going to be tougher in the AL East. But as far as the Yankees themselves being able to catch the Red Sox is going to be tough. I do like that Sale's on the DL, but I do think that that's more of them finally getting Sale to be like, hey, we used to do this with Pedro all the time. It's in the middle of the year. It's time to go on the DL for a little while with hiccups or whatever you have. And then,
hiccups.
And then we will go from there and, give you a good 2-week rest and then come back with a fresh arm going down the stretch. I'm a little nervous by their DL. I don't think it's anything serious. He's got I don't know. His dog got pregnant and he's having puppies or something, so he's on the dog paternity list leave or whatever. I don't know. It's one of those things that is just, I think it's just completely a rest move. And it's smart for them, and it's smart for Sale to finally just say, yeah, I probably should do it because I suck in the last month of the season every year. So this will give him a chance to have a legit shot at the Cy Young again. But I don't know. Is there anything else that you wanted to ask him, Brian?
Yeah, just one quick question. Mm-hmm. And this is, I hate individual awards. It's not really one of my big things. But I have to ask you, Chris, right now, given where we are, is it's a two-part question. One, is it a two-horse race for the Rookie of the Year between Andujar and Torres? And two, if it is, which one of them is in the lead right now?
Yeah, that's great question. I'm going to say yes to the first part. I do believe
that makes the second part more fun.
it's a two-dog race at the moment. I imagine Ohtani's probably going to enter himself into the conversation again now that he's back. However, I would say, yeesh.
It's really tough. The Gleyber Torres deal stint really made this a really close race.
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did. And this is what I'm going to say. I expect Gleyber Torres to be the better player over the next 2 months. And I'm not saying that Andujar is going to go into some massive skid. I just believe that once Torres gets back into his own groove, he will separate himself again, just as he had before he went on the DL.
He seems like the kind of guy that's going to shine on the big stage. That's just the kind of guy that he seems like he is. And as the season gets closer, the stage gets brighter.
I've never seen anybody his age make in-bat adjustments the way he does. That to me is just nuts.
Yeah.
He approaches at bats like a veteran, like a 7 to 8 year veteran, and he's 21. He could barely drink.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. He's a special hitter. I think the thing for him now is remove some of the rookie type mistakes that he does make. Trying to take an extra base when it's not necessary. He gets a little nonchalant out at second base for me on occasion, and it sometimes comes back to haunt him, or it looks like it's coming back to haunt him. But all the while, the guy's been incredible for the club, and it's both of them have. So kudos to them for making the move early and sticking with them, and really giving them a true shot to shine.
I do have one other quick question. So Clint Frazier, and I'm very happy about this because he is my favorite player in baseball as of right now. He survived this trade deadline. Red Thunder survived this trade deadline.
The legendary batsman.
How much of a seal of approval is this from Brian Cashman? And do you now think that he is maybe in the clear and really does factor into the Yankees 2019 and beyond plans?
It's a pretty good seal of approval, but I would caution this. He was brought up in a bunch of trade conversations, right? And the Yankees neglected to make a lot of those moves. But I'm going to guess that it wasn't just because of Clint Frazier being in those talks that the Yankees did not make those moves. There are other people in the organization that are probably just as heavily regarded outside of New York as Frazier is. Mm-hmm. There could have been a lot of people asking for Sheffield in those same deals and wanting both guys. So I mean, I'm not shocked that they didn't deal him. I think that he provides or can provide significant help to the Yankees, maybe even in September. If he's healthy. And I think that giving him a full shot next year if he's still around makes all the sense in the world. But I can't tell you that I'd be shocked if during the off season one of those deals comes up where his name isn't there and they believe that that's the one that is worth letting a high talented player like him go. Yeah. So I feel like there's just a little bit more than just whether Frazier was a headliner in some of these potential deals, and they said no.
All right. Okay.
Fair enough.
Well, that's pretty much it we had for you today. I mean, we really appreciate you coming on the show for a little while, giving us your insight into the Yankees and everything like that. We know we have a lot of Yankee fans, a lot of Yankee fans that kind of follow the show and everything like that. So I'm glad you could come on and give us your input. And as I said before, you can follow Chris at Chris CHRIS _ Carelli CARELLI on Twitter. You can find him out. You can see if you go to our podcast, you'll be able to see his latest article in the description below, and it'll also be on YouTube as well. You'll be able to find the description, his article in there as well. That was with all the Yankee grades and everything like that. So really, thank you very much, Chris, for coming on the show, taking some time out of your day. I appreciate it.
Thanks again, sir.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Too.
All right. So we had Chris on, and that. It's always great having him on. I like his insight into the Yankees. It's obviously he follows them very closely. He covers them for SNY, and writes a lot of good articles and everything like that. So, and we post them on the page, on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Shane and the Bri Man. We post them there every once in a while. It's nice to hear because we're not always on the same page. Like me and Brian aren't on the same page all the time. Me, Chris, and Brian aren't always on the same page, and we're all diehard Yankee fans. So it's fun to hear everybody's opinion. All right, so we had talked about that. I mean, we kind of beat the Yankees to death here. I think we should probably move on to some other baseball news.
Play ball!
Yeah, we'll continue with it. And you said that there was a particular trade that you feel is going to go down as the sleeper pick. And it's, I believe,
I did.
Dozier to
Brian
the
Dozier
yeah.
to the Dodgers.
Uh-huh.
Well, my reason why is because, look, we know that the AL is basically a 4-team horse race. Okay.
Before we do this, if anybody out there that's listening, you guys want to post who you think had the biggest impact during the trade deadline, go ahead and submit it in the comments. You can put them there. We're going to be talking about the trade deadline for the next probably 10, 15 minutes. So just give us what you got. All right, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. Look, it's in the AL. It is very much it's a 4-team race. Okay, it's so top heavy. It's Red Sox, Astros, Yankees, Indians, and actually for me, it's kind of in that order. So there's really not a lot of wiggle room in the AL. The NL is as wide open a league as you could possibly get. I mean, maybe there are some head, some horses that are a little bit ahead. But let's be honest. If I were to tell you the Diamondbacks were going to get to the World Series, I don't know that you'd be outrageously shocked. Right. I just don't know that you would be. I mean, I could even sit here and tell you the Giants, who are like 5 games out of the division race, are going to make a crazy run. Mad Bum's going to get healthy, run off 12 wins, and they're going to make it to the World Series. And you might not be shocked. But here's what I think Dozier, obviously it didn't hurt that they have Machado. But when you look at the middle of their lineup now, when you've got Dozier, Machado, and Turner all in there together, you've got Clayton Kershaw. To me, that team, the Dodgers, are right back, I think, on paper anyway, where they were last year as NL favorites. And to me, they have to be NL favorites, and I'll give them just a little bit ahead of the Cubs. But let's be honest, though. I mean, if you look at the moves that the Dodgers made at this deadline, and they were in on everything. They got Machado, they got Dozier, they were all over the place. That is a team that very much saw. And look, the Dodgers play with monopoly money. I mean, they just don't care either. They'll take on any contract, really. Let's be honest. But the Dodgers already had a pretty decent bullpen. They've got one of the best closers in the game, if not the best. I know for you, he's probably the best. So to me, this was the move that really put the Dodgers, I think, squarely at the top of the National League. I think the Cubs are a close second, and I like what the Brewers are such great opportunists. They're like a once every 5-year team. They recognize that they have an opening and they make some moves. And the Brewers made some moves too that I think are going to keep them right there in contention. But to me, the Dodgers right now made the moves, and I think Dozier was really the one that kind of put him over the top because I love him in that lineup. I really love how difficult that lineup is to navigate now. Yeah. And I think the Dodgers are now, again, the team to beat in the National League. I won't be shocked if they don't make the World Series, but I'll be a little bit surprised. And Dozier is he's such a good clubhouse guy too. He's a good veteran presence. His numbers are not great this year. His batting average is really low. I mean, because I think last year, I want to say he was like a 300 hitter. He wasn't a 300 hitter last year. He was a 271 hitter. But his power numbers are still there. Yeah. They're still there. He's still having a pretty strong year offensively, 16 home runs, 52 RBIs. I would imagine with some of the protection in that lineup now, those numbers will go up a little bit more. But I think the Dodgers are the team to beat. I like the Cubs too because you have to love the Cubs' postseason experience. They went out and got a reliever to help shore up their bullpen. But to me, it's the Dodgers. It's there for the Dodgers now. They already have the division lead somewhat comfortably. And they're in the driver's seat.
They're basically tied right now. I mean, for the NL West. But I do think that them. I do think that with this acquisition, I think it's going to help them, not for like the long haul, but I do think that this is because this guy, Dozier, throughout his career, he's never been a great hitter. He has some power. He has some things. He's decent. But the thing that's really going to help them, and it's
yes, you're right. I'm sorry. The Dodgers are only they're a half game out actually, but they're right. They're right there.
Yeah, and I expect the Dodgers going forward to be the best team in the NL, just because their rotation, their bullpen, they have so many different players that can play different spots. They got Manny Machado. I mean, those are just huge names. And the one thing with Brian Dozier is his best month in the 6 months of baseball that they play every year is August. In August, his career is 275, 356 on base percentage with an 884 OPS, and those are numbers that are far better than any other month in the game. And that's just him playing throughout his whole season, and every year in August he plays his best. So I expect him in the NL. I think his numbers will probably go up a little bit. I know that, where he's playing now, it's not necessarily always the best division, or where he was playing with the Twins. I do think that in the NL, surrounded with that deep lineup, he's going to get more pitches to hit. His August numbers are going to be astronomical again, and he might even have a better September because of the lineup that he's going to be in. So it'll be very interesting to see how they use him. If they play him on an everyday basis, I would assume that they're going to, but he's definitely a bat that will be welcome in that lineup, that's for sure, especially in August. Like I said, right now he's batting .224, 16 home runs, 52 RBIs, 65 runs scored. The 52 RBIs and 65 runs scored on the Twins is it's not bad. It's just the average, and the home runs. Right. Home runs are okay, but if he can get that average up and start batting around that 275 to 300 in August, with upping his on-base percentage, starting to power a little bit more, gets moving, and he also has the adrenaline rush of going to a legit contender and on a great team with a lot of people around you that you're going to get more options because people are going to pitch you.
He did say, although I think this is kind of a silly statement, but he did say, "You're going to get 100% from me." Well, I would hope so.
I hope the Twins are getting that.
Thanks, Brian. Paul Molliner's like, what the heck was he giving us?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Were we getting like the 72% Brian Dozier? Where were we?
Probably. That must be it. I mean, 72%, probably closer to 80.
72% of Brian Dozier is still a pretty good player, though.
Yeah, not an all-star guy, but he can throw him out there every day.
Right.
All right. So, I mean, for me, I don't know. I mean, there were a lot of great moves, and I think that the best move, out of all these teams, were the Pirates getting Chris Archer. This guy is a guy that I wanted as a Yankee. I wanted him so bad on my team because the dude is smart. He has all the physical tools. He has a chip on his shoulder. This guy is just he's so talented that I wanted him on our team. And he's got some years left on his contract. He is probably
like four, right?
He's
under some serious team control.
He has some. He just in general. This guy had. this year 96 innings. He's only got 3 wins because the Rays stink. He's got 102 Ks. 4.3 ERA.
Against the Yankees, but
4.3 ERA, 1.4 WHIP, 9.56 Ks per nine. This guy, I think when he's going to pitch for the Pirates going forward, I would not be surprised if you see him do something like 8-2 down the stretch with a high 2 ERA and 125 Ks in the NL. Because in the NL, his Ks are going to go up. With the Pirates are a decent team. I don't think they're going to win. But my guess is they might be a wild card team, which would be great for them.
Well, that's all they want. They just want a shot to be in that game.
And right now, they're not that far out. They're in third. They're 6 games back, but they're right in the hunt for the wild card.
Yes.
So all the other moves that were made out there, like the Brewers, getting like
they are only 3 out of the second wild card spot.
Yeah, exactly.
And I applaud that move too because look, what facilitated that was that 11-game win streak.
Yeah,
that made this all possible, and for them to get. And I know, you and I think are a little different on prospects. Like I kind of like to hoard prospects a little bit, and I think you're just like, these guys haven't done anything on the major league level. Trade them and get what you can for them.
Pretty much.
I do hop over to that side too, depending on the guy that you're getting in return.
Right.
Like if you said to me, Brian, Clint Frazier's your favorite player, I know that, but you know what? We could get Mad Bum if we package him, Sheffield, and Estevan Florial in like Sonny Gray, and I'll be like, bye Clint Frazier. Get me Mad Bum.
See you later, Red Thunder.
Get me that man beast in my rotation. Yeah. So, I mean, it depends. I can hop to the other side of the fence, but I need a little bit more than, say, Chris Archer. And but I will say this, though. Even though I think the Pirates gave up a lot, those might have been two of their best prospects, if not their two best prospects.
Austin Meadows is good.
The one thing I will say, though, is that you've got 3 years beyond this year of team control for Chris Archer. He's only making $8.25 million. If he gives you 15 wins or more every year, he's an absolute bargain. Not to mention the fact he's going from the American League East, which is the hardest hitting division in the league, to what, the NL Central?
Yeah.
I mean, he should be able to do some damage over there.
Absolutely.
He really should.
Anytime he gets to face a pitcher 4 times, that's going to lower the ERA.
The one thing that's kind of unfortunate is if you're the Pirates, don't you almost wish you had Garrett Cole still? Because imagine him and Archer together.
Yeah, but Garrett Cole was just not for that team. I don't know.
No,
he's gone to the Astros and been a totally different pitcher.
Well, everybody who goes to the Astros becomes a different pitcher because they're putting something in the water down there. But
we can talk we'll talk about the Astros in a little bit. But as far as like trades, this trade, I always feel like whoever gets the star always wins the trade. Now, this is like the exception to that rule, though, because I do think that Chris Archer going to the Pirates was the better deal for the Pirates because they got an actual stud.
Yes.
But the Rays are really doing a great job at rebuilding their franchise. And having Austin Meadows in the outfield with Kiermaier and now Pham, that is going to be a good outfield to build around. And then, they're just going to keep doing this stuff so that they can eventually rebuild their system. And not just with prospects that are kind of be like 2, 3, 4 years away. They're going to be doing this with Austin Meadows can play right now. He's playing. And he's playing well. Mm-hmm. So this is a great sign for the Rays to rebuild. And I know that Damian, who has been posting all the MLB stuff on our Facebook page, he's been doing a great job keeping up with everything. I really appreciate it. But he really posted a lot of stuff on there, and he really talked about how the Rays are doing a great job, and the NL East is going to be a beast with that, and the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto Blue Jays also, with Bo Bichette, and they also have Vlad Jr.
Boba Fett?
Bo Bichette.
Oh.
Dante's son?
I was going to say, I thought the bounty hunter was going to be in the AL East.
If they don't call him the bounty hunter, I will be very upset.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, right?
Yeah. And then you have Vlad Jr., Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Oh, I can't wait for him to get up. I can and I can't.
Right.
He's going to rake.
I want to see him come up for fantasy purposes, but that's it.
Right.
But
for now, stay in New Hampshire, kid, or wherever you are.
Yeah. So
New Hampshire.
I'm really the NL East is going to be the actual beast that it used to be, and it's going to be so stacked. It's going to be incredibly tough for any of these teams. They're just going to beat the tar out of each other. It's going to be fun to watch. If you're, I don't know. Hopefully the Yankees are really good. And all these other teams are getting really good too. And now there's going to be 4 legit teams that are going to be awesome in the East. I'm a little nervous, but what are you going to do?
There's a pro and con to it. I think the con is what you just said, because they are going to beat up each other. The pro is, though, that whichever one or two of those teams gets to the postseason, they'll be very battle tested.
Yeah, that's very true.
So
yeah.
You have to like that.
All right, and then we have other moves. Like I think the Braves. People are giving the Braves like a lot of praise for some. Well, not a lot of people, but there's people out there giving the Braves praise because they are They're basically in first. They're I think a half game back of the Phillies. And they added Gausman. They added Gausman, and they added Darren O'Day. And I think that
they're actually a game ahead in the win column, though, in the loss column. So they're actually they're right there. Yeah.
It's there. I don't think that they're going to – I actually wouldn't be surprised if they missed the playoffs. I still don't think that they are a good team. I think that their young team is going to run out of gas.
Very possible.
Gosman, I don't think is a big help at all. I mean, he's never been good, ever. He's always been a below-average pitcher. I don't think he's going to become a stud in that bullpen. I think that he'll probably be their 5th or 6th guy, and occasionally, and he's going to pitch to like a low 4 to mid 4 ERA with almost a 1.4 WHIP. It's not that great. He doesn't strike out. He throws gas, but he strikes out 7.5 per 9. It's not good. I do think, however, Darren O'Day is going to help them out because he's always been very solid. This year he's pitching to a 3.6 ERA, but a 1.1 WHIP. And striking out 12 per 9. I mean, he is a very solid addition to bullpen. I'm glad the Red Sox didn't land someone like him because that would have been kind of brutal. As far as like some other moves that were out there, the Diamondbacks, they got Ziegler and Diekman. Those are okay moves. I mean, those are just kind of little tiny moves that might push them over the top, but I don't see the D-backs holding on to the NL. I see the Dodgers just having too much firepower, both on offense and defense.
Yeah.
I don't see it working. The Phillies landed Ramos. Now, Ramos going to Phillies could be a big deal because he can hit bombs.
Yeah.
And Phillies,
that's bandbox stadium.
So that could be a big deal because, I mean, if you have a catcher that can catch and hit, that's kind of a big deal.
I have been to that stadium a couple times, and I am not joking when I tell you I think I could hit a wiffle ball over the left field wall. I really do. I really do.
Well, you're jacked, man. I mean, you can hit.
You can't see below here, but there's a lot going on. So, no, it is such a short. But you know what, though? I've had seats. I've actually had seats pretty much like kind of right behind home plate standing in like that concourse. Yeah. And that left field wall looks like it's on top of you. It's so close. That is a perfect spot for him. Yeah. That is a perfect spot for them. And a big need for Philly. And look, they're in first place. They went for it. You have to like the move.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to like it.
And then, obviously, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the Red Sox. Signing Kinsler. And Evaldi.
Yeah, that bothers me.
Kinsler's been hot as of late. Last 30 days.
He's gonna get rejuvenated.
Last 30 days, batting 333, 885 OPS. Now he's going to a deeper lineup, and he's obviously
he got a hit. I think he got a hit last night.
Yeah, so. He won. I think he won 1 for 4. And Evaldi, this is a move.
Don't like that either.
That makes me nervous because we saw
the redemption factor makes it nerve-wracking.
So we have Evaldi who pitched with us. We saw him at his best. We saw him at his worst. He pitched well for us more than he pitched bad.
Well, when he was healthy, like you said earlier with Chris, he's a good mid-rotation guy.
I mean, look at
when he's healthy.
I mean, he's always pitched to a low.
Now he's healthy.
64 innings pitched this year, 4 wins, 58 Ks, 3.8 ERA, 0.94 WHIP, 7.25 Ks to walks. So the guy doesn't walk anybody, as we know, and 8.16 Ks per 9. The dude is a legit pitcher when he's healthy. He has a hard time staying healthy. But if you have him just to help you out with Rodriguez or Sale and all that kind of stuff, he's like a 4 or 5. That's a big deal.
How big is that addition now with Sale going on the DL for 10? Sale's probably going to miss one start.
I will guarantee they got Evaldi as security because they could put Sale on the DL.
I'm sure it was yes, and the fact that there was a need there too for the back end of their rotation. So,
yeah, but I think that if they didn't get Evaldi or another legit starter, I don't think they would have put Sale on that because I think they would have been too nervous that the Yankees would catch them and pass them because nobody wants to play in the wild card. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants the one game out in and out.
Was there a surprise? I'll tell you who mine was. Was there a surprise guy who didn't get traded for you? For me, I was a little bit surprised that Matt Harvey didn't get moved because he's pitched pretty well. His velocity is starting to come back. Mm-hmm. And I really thought a contender would maybe overpay the Reds for him a little bit.
I was surprised that the Mets didn't make more moves. Like,
Are you though? Are
I-
you surprised me? And I am not. The Mets are so dysfunctional right now. I can't. Nothing that you tell. They got beat by a football score last night. Although somehow their defense managed 2 safeties, so that's impressive. I mean, if you want to take some take away from that, they got a couple of 2-pointers on the board. But I mean, the Mets are. Last night I thought was like a perfect microcosm of just how bad things are for the Mets. 25-4. That's just 25 runs.
Not what you want.
Jose Reyes plunked a guy while they were pitching. It was just dreadful. Oh my God.
It is not. I mean, it's not good for them. But I cannot believe they didn't deal one of their guys. Like, you need to go all the way.
They could have gotten a big haul for either one of them.
They could have dealt Zach Wheeler, Steven Matz. They could have done if they wanted to keep the big two, Noah and DeGrom. Yeah. Then you have other chips that you could deal. Like, just do it. Get a haul, because obviously you have a hard time keeping these guys staying healthy. Zach Wheeler never stays healthy, but he's been pitching decent this year. Steven Matz has had a occasional rough start. He just went 2 innings and gave up 42 runs. But overall, you really have to go for it. You can't just sit there in limbo. You have to really either go for it, either say we're all in and then get more acquisitions. Obviously, they couldn't do that this year because they have nothing to play for. But if that's the case, trade some of your guys and go for it. Say, all right, we're going to go for it. We're going to get some young talent that's like next year or the year after that away from playing, and we're going to really try and go for it, because all those studs, Noah and DeGrom, are still young. They're going to be around for a while. So it's just I feel bad for Matty P sometimes. Diehard Mets fan, and his team just
it's a hard knock life.
One every day. It just seems like something bad happens with the Mets. The owners, the Wilpons, need to get rid of that franchise. It's time. You guys are really driving that franchise, a New York franchise, into the dumpster.
There are some bad owners in sports in New York. Yeah, there really are. Yeah. There's some issues.
Not on our side. The Steinbrenner family has treated us very well over the years.
I'm not talking about them.
Talking about Dolan.
Yes, Dolan. Dolan was the guy. I'm a big fan of Hal, actually. I am a big fan of Hal. I love the way he handles business. That guy I love watching interviews with him, because I find him intoxicating and scary at the same time.
He's like a serial killer.
Yes, kind of. He's like the Dexter of owners. He really is. But I find there's something about him I find sort of charming, but I feel like this guy, if you're not careful, he could knock you off, man. See, his dad was different, because his dad was just constantly, you knew, with his dad, what you were getting. He was just coming out swinging and it didn't matter. But Hal's a little scarier, though. He's scarier in a different way.
I do know. He's got that look, got that little sideways smile sometimes.
But you can see he's got that. He's got his father in him.
Yeah.
But it manifests itself very differently. There's something about Hal that Hank was just like a stupid version of his dad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Hal really got, if this were the movie Twins, Hal would have been Schwarzenegger and Hank would have been DeVito. That's how it would have been. Anyways, thank you for watching episode 101 of Sports.
All right. So, we talked about all the MLB trade deadline. We definitely what's the
I mean, we need to wrap it up. I've been texting you.
You have been?
We're live. Yes.
I didn't even know. I didn't even see. So yes, that's pretty much it for our show today.
Hey, there's the music.
There's the music. I thought you were doing the cha-cha shuffle or something like that. Cupid shuffle.
Yeah.
I mixed up those two names. Anyway, so if there's anything else, if there's anything else, we have some stuff that we're going to talk about on Monday. Monday, we're going to be talking football. We're going to be doing the NFL. We're going to give our picks. We're going to give our number one on all the divisions. And then we'll also, just kind of run through where we think everybody's going to fill out in each division. But we're not going to go in depth. So if you have any of that stuff that you want to send over to us, you can send it at shaneandthebriman@gmail.com. We will be talking about that. Keith Sherry had just posted, he can't wait for the picks on Monday. So we will be talking about that on Monday.
I guess we got our work cut out for us.
If you guys have any picks, you can go ahead and send them to shaneandthebriman@gmail.com, and we will get them on the show as well. Other than that, I'm Shane Moore. And you can find me on Twitter at Einhorn
I'm the Bri Man. You can find me on Twitter at @the_Bri_man.
And you can find the show at Shane and Bri Man. You can also find the podcast on anywhere podcasts are played. And on top of that, you can find us at www.sportsandsorts.libsyn. That's LIBSYN.com. And where else? Where else can people find us? I mean, there's so many places. iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker.
Anywhere
TuneIn.
podcasts are sold.
Yeah, all of them. All of them, really. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, we want to thank Chris Carelli once again. Find him on Twitter at Chris_Carelli. Pretty much spelt how it sounds, but it's Chris with a CH. So, and then we're going to post his latest article in our description below. And next week, can't wait. We also have a little treat, maybe, if we have enough time on Monday. Something I wanted to do. Me and Brian were talking about it the other day. Bri Man has a couple of clips out there. And sports side of it, I think we're going to want to get your input on which of Brian's epic rants were the best. There's 4 of them. He's got, I think, 2 that are directly put at the Patriots. Another one, I can't remember what it was for, but it was great. And then the last one was quoting a movie quote. We have 4 different ones that he's in. We're going to play them all. We'll see how many people listen. Hopefully we can get like a couple, maybe a dozen to 20 people listening at the same time and get your input onto which one of those is his best. So, get ready for the show Monday. Obviously, we'll be here at 9:45 a.m. like we are every Monday and talking sports and other sorts of stuff. 75% sorts, 25% sorts. It averages out that way pretty much throughout the year, right? I think, maybe, possibly.
I would say so.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say to anybody?
Stay classy, Planet Globe.
Oh, of course. Stay classy, Planet Globe. Oh, did you hear that the Ocho's coming back?
No.
The Ocho's coming back. They're going to cover dodgeball and chess boxing.
Oh, my goodness. Thank God.
That's like the greatest thing ESPN's done since they had Ron Burgundy host.
Pretty much. Since I don't watch ESPN anymore, yeah.
You would if Ron Burgundy came back.
Yes, I would.
You might watch the Ocho if it was with Cotton. I hope they gotta have Cotton.
Yes.
What was the other guy's name? What was Jason Bateman's name?
Oh my God,
we have
that's
8
terrible.
seconds. 8 seconds.
I don't know. I'm blanking.
Peace out, guys.
Sorry.
Depressing.
Yeah.
Sad.
Bye. That's bad on me.
Give your best Hal impression.
My best what now?
Hal
Steinberger. Oh, Hal Steinberger.
How can you do a? Gotta give that sideways smile, like I'm thinking something.
You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.